How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, May 15th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Friday, May 14th, and of course, I'm going to preview everything today as we move through the world of sports one day at a time. I think it's necessary to start with the NBA because the NBA season is ticking down, and the third to last night of NBA basketball, starting with the first primetime the only primetime performance of the night. The New Orleans Pelicans took on the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco, and the Warriors would beat the New Orleans Pelicans 125-122. The big difference for them would be the first half, where they outscored the Pelicans by 18 points by outscoring them by 9 in the first two quarters. For the New Orleans Pelicans in this matchup, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, out of Virginia Tech. He finished with 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals in 40 minutes as he shot 11 for 24 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 4 for 7 from 3. They're starting small forward, Najee Marshall would end up with 20 points and 13 rebounds in 36 minutes as he shot 7 for 15 from the field and 5 for 6 from the foul line. For the Golden State Warriors, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard, Jordan Poole. Poole finished with 38 points and 6 assists in 33 minutes as he shot 12 for 22 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and 10 for 11 from the foul line. And then their starting shooting guard, Michael Mulder, would finish with 28 points of his own, as he would go on to he would finish with 28 points in 34 minutes as he shot 10 for 17 from the field, 7 for 13 from 3, and 1 for 1 from the foul line. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are now 38-33. They are tied with the Memphis Grizzlies for the 8th best record in the Western Conference, as they have now won their last 5 games and 7 of their last 10. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they currently sit 2.5 games behind the 7th place Los Angeles Lakers, and they sit 4.5 games ahead of the 10th place San Antonio Spurs, as they have clinched a spot in the NBA play-in series for now, with one more game left in their regular season, as they currently trail the Utah Jazz by 13 games in the conference. With this loss, the New Orleans Pelicans are now 31-40. They are tied with the Sacramento Kings for the 4th worst record in the Western Conference, as they have now lost their last 3 games and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They currently sit 2.5 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs outside of the Western Conference playoff picture, and they sit 20 full games behind the Utah Jazz in the Western Conference as a whole, as they have been eliminated from the playoff picture with one more game left in their season. Outside of the primetime game of the night, jumping to Washington, D.C., the Wizards would beat the Cavaliers 120-105. The difference will come in the third quarter, where the Wizards outscored the Cavs by 13 points. For the Cavaliers, their leading scorer was their starting point guard, Colin Sexton. He finished with 26 points and 6 turnovers in 31 minutes as he shot 8 for 16 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. For the Washington Wizards, their leading scorer was their elite starting point guard, Russell Westbrook, out of UCLA, the NBA's current all-time triple-doubles leader. He finished with 21 points, 12 rebounds, and 17 assists, of course in triple-double fashion, as he also added 3 steals in 40 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 18 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 6 for 8 from the foul line on the night. With this win, the Washington Wizards are now 33-38. That is the 10th best record in the Eastern Conference, as they have now won 6 of their last 10 games, as they have been they are officially the last team in the East to at least clinch the NBA play-in series. So now the 10 teams in the East are set. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit half a game behind the 8th place Charlotte Hornets and 9th place Indiana Pacers, as they currently trail the first place 76ers by 5 games in the conference. They currently sit 2.5 games ahead of the 11th place Chicago Bulls, just outside, as the Wizards currently have one more game left in their season. They currently trail the Philadelphia 76ers by 15 games in the conference. With this loss, the Cleveland Cavaliers are now 22-49. That is the 3rd worst record in the Eastern Conference. With this loss, they've now lost 9 of their last 10 games. They currently sit 11 games outside or behind the 10th place Washington Wizards outside of the Eastern Conference playoff picture, and they sit 26 full games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference playoff picture, as they now currently they trail the Sixers by 26 games in the Eastern Conference. Jumping on to Detroit, the Detroit Pistons would host the Denver Nuggets, and in this matchup, the Nuggets would beat the Pistons 104-91. The difference would come in the third quarter, where the Nuggets outscored the Pistons by 9. For the Pistons in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their starting shooting guard, Hamidou Diallo. Diallo would finish with 18 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 35 minutes as he shot 8 for 18 from the field and 2 for 3 from the foul line. For the Denver Nuggets, their leading scorers finished with 20 on the night. Their elite starting center, Nikola Jokic, would finish with 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 11 assists in 26 minutes as he shot 7 for 11 from the field and 6 for 7 from 3. And then their point guard, Marcus Howard, would also finish with 20 points on the night in 34 minutes as he shot 9 for 14 on the night. With this win, the Denver Nuggets are now 47-24. They are tied with the Los Angeles Clippers for the third best record in the Western Conference, as they have now won their last 3 games in 7 of their last 10. This is the highest standing I believe they've had all year, as they currently hold the tiebreaker over the Clippers. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they currently sit 2.5 games behind the second-place Phoenix Suns, and they sit 5 games ahead of the 5th place Dallas Mavericks. With one more game left, they and the Clippers are going to have to decide who gets the last game. But right now they have one more game left in their schedule, and they currently sit 4 games behind the first place Utah Jazz in the Western Conference. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 20-51. That is the worst record in the Eastern Conference, and that is the second worst record in the NBA right now, as they have lost their last 4 games in 8 of their last 10. At the moment, they sit 13 games behind the 10th place Washington Wizards outside of the Eastern Conference playoff picture, with one more game left in their schedule, and they currently trail the first place Philadelphia 76ers by 28 games in the Eastern Conference, to give a sense of where the Pistons are, as they have one more game left in their season, like I said. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the 76ers were able to beat the Orlando Magic 122-97 after they outscored the Magic by 20 points in the second quarter. For the Magic, their leading scorer would come off the bench, as their forward Ignas Brazdeikis would finish with 21 points on the night, along with 6 rebounds and 2 blocks as he in 32 minutes, as he shot 9 for 12 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. For the Philadelphia 76ers, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard, Seth Curry. He finished with 20 points in 23 minutes as he shot 7 for 9 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the line. Their elite starting point guard, Ben Simmons, would finish with 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists in 26 minutes as he shot 5 for 8 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. And their elite starting center, Joel Embiid, would finish with 13 points, 11 rebounds, and a couple of assists in 23 minutes as he shot 3 for 9 from the field, a perfect 1 for 1 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are now 48-23. That is the best record in the East. They have secured the best record in the East, and they have won 8 of their last 10 games. Like I said, with one more game left in their season, they have clinched the best record in the East, as they now sit a game and a half ahead of the second place Brooklyn Nets. They currently sit 15 games ahead of the 10th place Washington Wizards, so they're comfortably in the playoff picture, and they sit 28 games ahead of the 15th place Detroit Pistons in the conference. With this loss, the Orlando Magic are now 21-50. That is the second worst record in the Eastern Conference, as they have now lost their last 6 games in 7 of their last 10. They currently sit 12 games behind the 10th place Washington Wizards outside of the Eastern Conference playoff picture, and they currently sit 27 games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers, as the Magic now have one more game left for their season until they resume play in October, November. Jumping out to Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City Thunder hosted the Utah Jazz, and the Jazz were able to beat the Thunder 109-93. They were able to outscore the Thunder by 10 in the first quarter and by 12 in the third. For the Thunder in this matchup, their leading scorer would come off the bench, as their shooting guard out of Kansas, Svi Mykhailiuk, would finish with 19 points in 26 minutes as he shot 8 for 14 from the field and 3 for 4 from 3. For the Utah Jazz, their leading scorer would be their starting small forward, Bojan Bogdanovic. Bogdanovic would finish with 22 points in 27 minutes, shooting 8 for 16 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. Their elite starting center, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 16 points, 18 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 27 minutes as he shot 5 for 9 from the field and 6 for 9 from the foul line. And their elite starting point guard, Mike Conley, would finish with 10 points in 16 minutes as he shot 2 for 7 from the field and 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Utah Jazz are now 51-20. That is the best record in the Western Conference, and they have officially clinched the best record. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure they've clinched the best record in the NBA, but I'm not sure officially. But right now they currently hold on to it as they have won 7 of their last 10 games. They currently sit a game and a half ahead of the second place Phoenix Suns. They've already clinched a top 2 spot in the West. They currently sit 17 and a half games ahead of the 10th place San Antonio Spurs in the playoff picture, and they currently sit 34 games ahead of the last place Houston Rockets, as the Jazz currently have one more game left in their schedule. Jumping out to Dallas, the Dallas Mavericks hosted the Toronto Raptors and were able to pull off a 114-110 win after outscoring the Toronto Raptors by 14 points in the first half. For the Raptors, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard, Joe Harris. Joe Harris would finish with 31 points in 36 minutes as he shot 12 for 21 from the field, 5 for 12 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the line. I'm sorry, that was this Jalen Harris. Jalen Harris finished with 31 points. He was the leading scorer for the Toronto Raptors, the first game in which he's done so in his career. And then their starting point guard, Malachi Flynn, would finish with 26 points of his own, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in 37 minutes as he shot 11 for 21 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line on the night. For the Dallas Mavericks, their leading scorer was their starting center, Kristaps Porzingis, the former Eastern Conference All-Star. He finished with 21 points, 10 rebounds, and a couple of assists in 34 minutes as he shot 9 for 19 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. And then their elite starting point guard, 2-time All-Star Luka Doncic, would finish with 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists in 34 minutes as he shot 7 for 19 from the field, 1 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the line. With this win, the Dallas Mavericks are now 42-29. That is the 5th best record in the Western Conference, as they have now won their last 2 games in 8 of their last 10. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they currently sit 5 games behind the 4th place Los Angeles Clippers, and they currently sit 1 game ahead of the Trailblazers. And because they own the tiebreaker, they don't own the tiebreaker, but with this win, they've officially clinched a spot in the top 6, meaning they don't have to play in the play-in tournament. They have 1 more game left in their schedule, and they currently trail the first place Utah Jazz by 9 games in the conference, to give a sense of where they are, as they currently sit a game ahead of the Portland Trailblazers, like I just said. With this loss, the Toronto Raptors are now 27-44, as their first season outside of Toronto is coming close to an end. They've lost their last 6 games and 9 of their last 10. They currently sit 6 games behind the 10th place Washington Wizards outside of the Eastern Conference playoff picture with 1 game left, so they're officially eliminated from contention. And they currently sit 21 full games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers in the conference. Jumping out to Houston, the Houston Rockets hosted the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Rockets would beat the Clippers 122-115, the difference being the third quarter, where the Rockets outscored the Clippers by 8 to give them their overall 7-point win. For the Clippers in this matchup, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard out of Duke, Luke Kennard. He finished with 23 points in 41 minutes as he shot 9 for 19 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the line on the night. For the Houston Rockets, their leading scorers finished with 20 on the night as their starting power forward out of Gonzaga, Kelly Olynyk, finished with 20 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists, and 3 steals in 31 minutes as he shot 6 for 14 from the field and 7 for 10 from the free throw line. And then their small forward, Jayshawn Tate, would also finish with 20 points on the night as he also added 5 turnovers in 29 minutes as he shot 7 for 10 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Houston Rockets are now 17-54. That is the worst record in the Western Conference and the worst record in the NBA for that matter. They have won 2 of their last 10 games. They currently sit 16 and a half games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs outside of the Western Conference playoff picture, as the Rockets have 1 game left. They are officially eliminated from playoff contention, and I believe they're definitely in the top 4 spots for the best odds to get the number 1 pick of the next draft. And at the moment, they currently trail the first place Utah Jazz by 34 total games in the Western Conference as a whole. With this loss, the Los Angeles Clippers are now 47-24. They are now tied with the Denver Nuggets for the 3rd best record in the Western Conference, as they have now lost 5 of their last 10 games. In the playoff picture, they currently, alongside the Nuggets, they sit 2.5 games behind the 2nd place Phoenix Suns, and they sit 5 games ahead of the Dallas Mavericks with 1 more game left in their season as they trail the first place Utah Jazz by 4 games. They're in contention with the Denver Nuggets for, I guess, the 3rd seed as this season winds down as they come into their last last game, but they've already clinched a playoff spot. Jumping out to Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies hosted the Sacramento Kings, and they were able to pull off a 107-106 win. Of course, this game went all the way down to the wire. For the Sacramento Kings in this matchup, their leading scorer would come off the bench as their forward Louis King out of Oregon would finish with 27 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks in 34 minutes as he shot 10 for 16 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the line on the night. For the Memphis Grizzlies, their leading scorer was their starting power forward out of Duke, Justice Winslow. He finished with 25 points and 13 rebounds in 38 minutes as he shot 9 for 19 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 3 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 38-33. They are tied with the Golden State Warriors for the 8th best record in the Western Conference, as they have now won their last 5 games and 7 of their last 10. At the moment, within the playoff picture itself, alongside the Warriors, the Grizzlies sit 2.5 games behind the 7th place defending champs Los Angeles Lakers, and they sit 4.5 games ahead of the 10th place San Antonio Spurs, with 1 more game left in their schedule as they now trail the 1st place Utah Jazz by 13 games in the conference. With this loss, the Sacramento Kings are now 31-40. That is, they are tied with the Pelicans for the 4th worst record in the Western Conference, as they have now lost their last 2 games, where they've won 6 of their last 10. They currently sit 2.5 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs outside of the playoff picture, with 1 more game left in their schedule. So the Kings are officially eliminated from playoff contention, and they currently sit 20 games behind the 1st place Utah Jazz in the conference, just to give a sense of where they are. That is how the NBA currently stacks up as it heads into its last 2 games of regular season play. Looking out first to what's going on today, because there are no primetime matchups. At 1 o'clock, the Brooklyn Nets are going to host the Chicago Bulls. The Indiana Pacers are going to host the defending champs Los Angeles Lakers, and the New York Knicks are going to host the Charlotte Hornets. At 2 o'clock, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to host the Boston Celtics, and the San Antonio Spurs are going to host the Phoenix Suns. And last but not least, at 8 o'clock, the Milwaukee Bucks are going to host the Miami Heat. Like I said, none of these games are going to be on prime time, but of course, this is going to be a lot of their last game of the season or second last game of the season. Really quickly, staying within the arena, but shifting the context to the ice, looking at what's going on to the NHL, as the NHL season is also coming to a close as well. The only game that happened yesterday took place in Canada, as the Winnipeg Jets were able to beat the Maple Leafs 4-2 to pick up their 30th win of the season. With this win, the Winnipeg Jets now hold the 3rd best record in the North Division, as they now trail the Toronto Maple Leafs by 14 points in the division, just to give a sense of where they are. Looking out to what's going on today, it'll be the last regular season game for the Edmonton Oilers as they host the Vancouver Canucks on ESPN Plus at 3:30. And then it'll be the Eastern Division round game 1 on NBC as the Washington Capitals look to take on the Boston Bruins today as the NHL playoff picture looks to take its shape. So that's what's going on with the NHL today. Really quickly looking at what's going on with the MLB. There are no games on prime time yesterday, but first I'm going to start with the doubleheader. The Chicago White Sox hosted the Kansas City Royals for 2 games. In the first one, the Royals would beat the White Sox 6-2 as they scored 5 runs in their first 3 innings. For the White Sox in their first game, the start and the loss would go to Lucas Giolito. Giolito would allow 5 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 7 on the day. With this loss, Giolito is 2-4 as a starting pitcher, as nobody in the lineup had more than 1 hit. This would be attributed to this Kansas City starting pitcher Brad Keller. Keller would allow 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 7 on the day. With this win, he is now 3-4 as the starting pitcher for the Kansas City Royals, and the only player on the team who had more than 1 hit was their elite designated hitter Salvador Perez, who went 2-for-4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 8th home run of the season. And then this would transition into the second game where the White Sox would beat the Royals 3-1 after all 3 of their runs came in the second inning via a 2-run home run from Andrew Vaughn and a walk from Yoan Moncada. For the Kansas City Royals in the second game, the start and the loss would go to Jacob Junis. Junis would allow 2 earned runs in 1.1 inning pitch as he only struck out 1, and this was mostly a relief pitching game. And nobody on the team would finish with more than one hit, as their designated hitter, Carlos Santana, had the only RBI of the game. He went 1 for 3 with his 7th home run of the season. For the Chicago White Sox, the start would be given to Michael Kopech. Kopech would allow 1 earned run in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 5 on the day. The win, however, would be given to the first relief pitcher, Cody Hoyer. Hoyer would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 2 on the day. With this win, he is now 3-1 as a relief pitcher. And the win was given to Liam Hendriks, their elite closer. That's his 8th save of the season, and the only player with more than 1 hit on their team was their left fielder, Leury Garcia. Garcia would end up going 2 for 4 on the day. With this split doubleheader, the Chicago White Sox are now 23-14. That is the best record in the American League Central, as they sit a game and a half ahead of the second-place Cleveland Indians, and the Kansas City Royals are now 17-21. That is the third best record in the American League Central, as they now trail the Chicago White Sox by 6.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pirates hosted the San Francisco Giants and were able to pull off a 3-2 win after scoring 2 of their runs in the 11th inning to come from behind and pick up the win. For the San Francisco Giants, the start was given to Kevin Gausman. Gausman would allow 1 earned run in 8 innings as he struck out 12 on the day. The loss, however, was given to their third relief pitcher, Caleb Barriger. Barriger would allow 1 earned run in 2 total in .2 innings as he was unable to strike out a batter. That's his first blown save of the season, and with this loss, Barriger is 2-1 as a relief pitcher. Nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. And then for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the start would be given to Miguel Yajure. Yajure would allow no earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 4 on the day. He only allowed 1 hit. The win, however, would be given to Luis Oviedo. Oviedo would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter. But with this win, Oviedo is 1-1 as a relief pitcher on the season. The only player in the game that had more than 1 hit was the Pittsburgh second baseman, Adam Frazier. He went 4 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs as he went on to hit a double, a triple, or a double and a triple on the day. With this win, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 16-22. That is the worst record in the National League Central, as they now trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 6.5 games in the division. With this loss, the San Francisco Giants are now 23-15. That is currently the best record in the National League West, and win percentage-wise, the best record in the National League, as they currently sit a game and a half ahead of the San Diego Padres within their division. Jumping out to Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles hosted the New York Yankees, and the Yankees were able to beat the Orioles 5-4 after coming from behind to score 3 runs in the 7th inning off of a 3-run home run from Gio Urshela. For the Baltimore Orioles, the start would be given to Dean Kramer. Kramer would allow 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 4 on the day. The loss would be given to their third relief pitcher, Travis Lakin Sr., as he blew his first save of the year. He allowed 1 earned run in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this loss, Lakins is 1-4 as a relief pitcher. Their center fielder, Cedric Mullins, would go 2 for 4, and then their right fielder, DJ Stewart, would go 3 for 3 with a run on the day. For the New York Yankees, the start and the win would be given to their elite starting pitcher, Corey Kluber. Kluber would allow 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 6 on the day. With this win, Corey Kluber is now 3-2 as a starting pitcher. And then the save would be given to Jonathan Loaisiga. Loaisiga would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched. This is his 2nd save of the year. Their elite second baseman, DJ LeMahieu, would go 2 for 4. Their elite right fielder, Aaron Judge, would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit 2 home runs on the day. He now has 10 on the season. And then, of course, Gio Urshela, 1 for 1 as a pinch hitter with 3 RBIs. With this win, the New York Yankees are now 21-17. That is the second best record in the American League East, as they now trail the Red Sox by 2 games in the division. With this loss, the Baltimore Orioles are now 16-22. That is the worst record in the American League East, as they now trail the Red Sox by 7 games in the division. Jumping out to Boston, the Boston Red Sox hosted the Halos, the Los Angeles Angels, and the Red Sox were able to pull off a 4-3 win after the Angels initially came back, but a Bobby Dalbec home run in the bottom of the 7th would give the Red Sox the lead back and their 24th win of the season. For the Angels, the start was given to Griffin Canning, who allowed 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 7. The loss, however, would be given to their first relief pitcher, Tony Watson. Watson would allow 2 earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out a batter. With his first blown save of the season and his first loss, he is now 1-1 as a relief pitcher this season. Their elite designated hitter, Shohei Ohtani, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Ohtani hit his 11th 11th home run of the season last night. And then their shortstop, Jose Iglesias, will go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs on the day. For the Boston Red Sox, however, the start would be given to Nick Pivetta. Pivetta would allow 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 7 on the day. The win and the blown save, but the win would be given to Matt Andriese. Andriese would allow 1 earned run in 1 inning pitched. As, like I said, this is the second blown save of the season, but with this win, he is now 2-2 as a relief pitcher. And the save was given to Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes would allow no earned runs as he struck out all 3 of the batters that he faced yesterday. One of the hottest pitchers in baseball right now. That's his 9th save of the season. With this win, the Boston Red Sox are now 24-16. That is the best record in the American League East, as they now sit 2 games ahead of the second-place New York Yankees in the division. And with this loss, the Los Angeles Angels are now 16-21. That is the worst record in the American League West, as they now trail the Oakland Athletics by 6.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Detroit, the Detroit Tigers hosted the Chicago Cubs, and the Cubs were able to beat the Tigers 4-2, giving Arrieta his 4th win of the season. For the Detroit Tigers, the loss will be given to Tariq Skubal. Skubal would allow 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 5 on the day. With this loss, Skubal is 0-6 as a starting pitcher for the Detroit Tigers, as nobody on the team was able to register more than 1 hit on the day. For the Chicago Cubs, the win would be given to Jake Arrieta as he allowed 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 1 on the day. With this win, Arrieta is 4-3 as a starting pitcher this season. And then the save would be given to their elite closer, Craig Kimbrell. Kimbrell would allow no earned runs as he struck out all 3 of the batters he faced in the final inning. That's his 7th save of the year. And the only player on the Cubs with more than 1 hit was their left fielder, Jock Peterson. Peterson will go 3 for 4 on the day. And then their elite center fielder, Chris Bryant, will go 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 10th home run of the season yesterday. With this win, the Chicago Cubs are now 18-19. That is the 3rd best record in the National League Central, as they now trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 4 games in the division. With this loss, the Detroit Tigers are now 13-25. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central, as they now trail the Chicago White Sox by 10.5 games in the division as it stands. Jumping out to Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Rays hosted the New York Mets, and the Rays were able to beat the Mets 3-2 after scoring all 3 of their runs in the 8th and 9th inning. In the 8th inning, they would actually tie it up with a home run and a double, and then it would be a Brett Phillips RBI single to walk off the game for Tampa Bay. For the New York Mets in this matchup, the start will be given to David Peterson. Peterson would allow 2 earned runs in 7.1 innings pitched as he struck out 9 on the day. The loss would be given to their second relief pitcher, Miguel Castro. Castro would allow 1 earned run in 0.1 innings pitched as he struck out no batters on the day. With this loss, Castro is 0-1 as a relief pitcher on the season. And then their center fielder, who would be Kevin Pillar, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run on the day. For the Tampa Bay Rays in this matchup, however, the start would be given to Tyler Glasnow. Glasnow would allow 2 earned runs in 8 innings pitched as he struck out 10 on the day. The win, however, would be given to their relief pitcher, Pete Fairbanks. Fairbanks would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 1. With this win, Fairbanks is 1-0 as a relief pitcher. The only player on the team with more than 1 hit was their right fielder, Manuel Margot, who went 2 for 4 with an RBI on the day. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 21-19. That is the 4th best record in the American League East, win percentage-wise, as they now trail the Boston Red Sox by 3 games in the division. With this loss, the New York Mets are now 18-14. Win percentage-wise, that is still the best record in the National League East, as they now sit half a game ahead of the second-place Philadelphia Phillies. Jumping out to Florida, somewhere else in Florida, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Phillies were able to beat the Blue Jays 5-1. They scored all 5 of their runs in the 7th inning to come from behind and pick up this win. For the Blue Jays, the start would be given to Steven Matz. Matz would allow no earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 9 on the day. The loss, however, would be given to their first relief pitcher, Trent Thornton. Thornton would allow 2 earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3 on the day. With this loss, Thornton is now 1-1 on the season as a relief pitcher. The only player who had more than 1 hit was their left fielder, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., as he went 2 for 4 on the day. And their elite designated hitter, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., would have the only RBI of the day, as he went 1 for 2 with an RBI and a run, as he had his 9th home run of the season yesterday. For the Philadelphia Phillies, the start would be given to Vince Velasquez, who allowed 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 7 on the day. The win, however, would be given to their first relief pitcher, who in this matchup was Connor Brogdon. Brogdon would allow no earned runs in 0.1 inning pitched. With this win, Brogdon is 4-1 on the season as a relief pitcher. Their elite right fielder, Bryce Harper, would go 2 for 2 with a run on the day. And then their only other player with more than one hit was their first baseman, Rhys Hoskins, who went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run. With this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are now 21-18. That is the second best record in the National League East, as they now trail the New York Mets by half a game in the division. With this loss, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 20-17. That is the third best record in the American League East, as they now trail the Boston Red Sox by 2.5 games in their division. Jumping out to Houston, the Houston Astros hosted the Texas Rangers and were able to pull up a 10-4 win to give Zach Greinke his third win of the season. For the Texas Rangers, the start and the loss would be given to Wes Benjamin. Benjamin would allow 3 earned runs and 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out 2 on the day. With this loss, Benjamin is 0-2 as a starting pitcher on the season. Their center fielder, Adolis Garcia, would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. And then their shortstop, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, would go 3 for 4 with 2 runs. And then their catcher, Jose Trevino, will go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs on the day. For the Houston Astros, the start and the win would be given to Zach Greinke. Greinke would allow 3 earned runs and 7 innings pitched as he struck out 5 on the day. With this win, Zach Greinke is now 3-1 as a starting pitcher this season. In their batting lineup, their right fielder, Kyle Tucker, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their center fielder, Miles Straw, would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. And then their catcher, Martin Maldonado, would end up going 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run, as their bottom 3 in the lineup would end up carrying a lot of the weight. With this win, the Houston Astros are now 22-17. That is the second best record in the American League West, as they now trail the Oakland Athletics by 1.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 18-22. They have the fourth best record in the American League West, as they now trail the A's by 6 in the division. Jumping out to Minneapolis, the Minnesota Twins hosted the Oakland Athletics. The Athletics were able to beat the Twins 6-1, as Frankie Montas picked up his 5th win of the season. For the Minnesota Twins, the start and the loss would be given to Matt Shoemaker. Shoemaker would allow 5 earned runs and 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4 on the day. With this loss, Matt Shoemaker is now 2-4 as a starting pitcher, as nobody on the team was able to log more than 1 hit. For the Oakland A's, a lot of that can be credited to Frankie Montas, their starting pitcher. Montas would allow 1 earned run in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this win, Frankie Montas is 5-2 on the year, and nobody on the team was able to get more than 1 hit, but a bunch of home runs on the day. Their elite third baseman, Matt Chapman, will go 1 for 2 with a run. With this win, the Oakland Athletics are now 24-16. That is the best record in the American League West, and they are tied with the Boston Red Sox for the most wins in the national or in the major leagues. Right now, they sit 1.5 games ahead of the second place Houston Astros in the division. And with this loss, the Minnesota Twins are now 12-24. That is the worst record in the American League Central, as they now trail the Chicago White Sox by 10.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers hosted the Atlanta Braves, and the Braves were able to beat the Brewers 6-3, giving Drew Smyly his 2nd win of the season. For the Milwaukee Brewers, the start would go to Adrian Hauser. Hauser would allow 2 earned runs and 3 innings pitched as he struck out 3 on the day. With this loss, Hauser is 3-4 as a starting pitcher. Their second baseman, Colton Wong, would go 2 for 5 on the day. Their shortstop, Luis Urias, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run on the day, as he had his 4th home run of the season. And then their catcher, Manny Pena, would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run, as he had his 3rd home run of the season for the Brewers. For the Atlanta Braves, the start and the win would be given to Drew Smyly. Smyly would allow 1 earned run in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4 on the day. With this win, Drew Smyly is 2-2 as a starting pitcher for the Braves this season. In their batting lineup, their elite left fielder, Marcell Ozuna, will go 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs as he had his 6th home run. And immediately following after him, back-to-back, was their elite second baseman, Ozzy Albies. He went 1 for 5 with an RBI and a run. He had his 6th home run of the season, just like Ozuna. And then their third baseman, Austin Riley, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs on the day. With this win, the Atlanta Braves are now 18-20. That is the 3rd best record in the National League East, as they now trail the New York Mets by 3 games in the division. With this loss, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 20-19. That is the 2nd best record in the National League Central, as they now trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 3 games in the division. Jumping out to Denver, the Colorado Rockies hosted the Cincinnati Reds, and the Rockies were able to pull up a 9-6 win after scoring 8 runs in the first 4 innings. For the Reds in this matchup, the start and the loss would be given to Wade Miley. Wade Miley would allow 8 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, Miley is 4-3 as a starting pitcher this season. There's catcher Tucker Barnhart would go 2 for 3. Their elite third baseman Eugenio Suarez would go 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 7th home run of the season. Their left fielder Shogo Akiyama would end up going 2 for 4 with a run, and then their second baseman Jonathan India would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 3rd home run of the season yesterday. For the Colorado Rockies, the start and the win would be given to German Marquez. Marquez would allow 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 8, and the save would be given to their closer Daniel Bard. Bard would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitch. With this save, that's his 4th on the season. In their batting lineup, their center fielder Garrett Hampson would end up going 3 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 5th home run of the season yesterday, the only home run on the team. Their shortstop Trevor Story would go 2 for 3 with 2 walks and 2 runs. Their elite right fielder Charlie Blackmon would go 3 for 3 with a run. Their third baseman Josh Fuentes would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. And then last but not least, their left fielder Jonathan Daza would end up going 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. With this win, the Colorado Rockies are now 15-24. That is the worst record in the National League West as they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 8.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are now 17-19. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central as they now trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 4.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks hosted the Washington Nationals, and the Nationals were able to pour on runs, beating the Diamondbacks 17-2 to get their 15th win of the season. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, the start and the loss would be given to Riley Smith. Smith would allow 8 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter on the day. With this loss, he is 1-3 as a starting pitcher. Their left fielder David Peralta would go 2 for 3 with a run, and the only other player with more than 1 hit on the day was their second baseman Andrew Young. Young would go 2 for 4 with an RBI on the day. For the Washington Nationals, the start and the win would go to their goated starting pitcher Max Scherzer. Scherzer would allow no earned runs and only 2 hits in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 7 on the day. With this win, Max Scherzer is now 3-2 on the season. In their batting lineup, their shortstop Trey Turner would go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run. Trey Turner hit his 9th home run of the season. Their second baseman, who in this game was Josh Harrison, I believe, would go 3 for 7 with an RBI and a run. He had a pretty good game for himself. Their left fielder, Kyle Schwarber, would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs, as well as 2 walks, as Schwarber would hit his 5th home run of the season yesterday. Their first baseman, Josh Bell, would go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. Their catcher, Yan Gomes, would go 5 for 6 with 2 RBIs and 4 runs. Their center fielder, Victor Robles, would go 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs. And then their pinch hitter for Michael Robles, or Andrew Stevenson, would end up going 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs as Stevenson hit his second home run of the season yesterday. With this win, the Washington Nationals are now 15-19. That is the worst record in the National League East as they now trail the New York Mets by 4 games in the division. With this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 17-22. That is the 4th best record in the National League West as they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 6.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Seattle, the Seattle Mariners hosted the Cleveland Indians and were able to pull up a 7-3 win to give Chris Flexen his 4th win of the season. For the Cleveland Indians, the start and the loss went to Aaron Savali. Savali would allow 5 earned runs in 6.2 innings pitched as he struck out 6 on the day. With this loss, he is now 5-1 as a starting pitcher. Their second baseman, Cesar Hernandez, would go 2 for 5. Their right fielder, Josh Naylor, would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 3rd home run of the season. And then their center fielder, Jordan Luplow, would end up going 3 for 4 with an RBI on the day. For the Seattle Mariners, the start and the win was given to Chris Flexen. He allowed 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitches. He was unable to strike out a batter all game. With this win, Flexen is 4-1 on the season. And then the save would be given to the Mariners closer, who in this matchup was Rafael Montero. Montero would allow no earned runs in 0.1 inning pitched as he now has 5 saves on the season. In their batting lineup, their left fielder, Jarred Kelenic, would go 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs, as he hit his first 2 home runs of the season. Their second baseman, Dylan Moore, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run on the day, and the only other player with more than 1 hit was their right fielder, who in this matchup was Sam Haggerty. Haggerty would go 2 for 3 with 2 runs on the day. With this win, the Seattle Mariners are now 19-20 in the American League West. That is the third best record, as they now trail the Oakland Athletics by 4.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Cleveland Indians are now 21-15. That is the second best record in the American League Central, as they now trail the Chicago White Sox by 1.5 games in the division. Jumping out to San Diego, the San Diego Padres hosted the St. Louis Cardinals and were able to pull off a 5-4 win at home. For the St. Louis Cardinals, the start and the loss would be given to Johan Oviedo. Oviedo would allow 3 earned runs in 2 innings pitched, as he was unable to get a strikeout. With this loss, Oviedo is 0-2 as a starting pitcher this season. Their shortstop, Tommy Edman, will go 2 for 5 with a run on the day. Their elite third baseman, Nolan Arenado, will go 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run, as he hit his 7th home run of the season. Their left fielder, Tyler O'Neill, also will go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run, as he hit his 8th home run of the season. For the San Diego Padres, the start will be given to Joe Musgrove, who allowed 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this win, he is now 3-4 as a starting pitcher this season, and the save was given to Mark Melancon, the former Braves closer, as he allowed 1 earned run in 1 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. That's his 13th save of the season. In their batting lineup, their elite third baseman, Manny Machado, will go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. And he was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit, but of course, necessarily it worked. And with this win, the San Diego Padres are now 22-17. That is currently the second best record in the National League West, as they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 1.5 games in the division. With this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 23-16. That is the best record in the National League Central, and they are tied with the Giants for the most wins in the National League at the moment. And they currently sit 3 games ahead of the second place Milwaukee Brewers at the moment, just to give a sense of where the Cardinals are. And then last but not least, jumping out to Dodger Stadium, the defending World Series champs hosted the Miami Marlins and were able to pull up a 9-6 win after scoring 8 runs in the second inning. For the Miami Marlins, the start and the loss would be given to Sandy Alcantara. Alcantara would allow 8 earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, Sandy Alcantara is now 1-3 on the season as a starting pitcher. And then in their batting lineup, their shortstop, Miggy Rojas, would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 runs on the day. Their right fielder, Garrett Cooper, will go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Those are the only 2 players with more than 2 hits. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, their go-to starting pitcher, Clayton Kershaw, would pick up his 6th win of the season, as he allowed 5 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 11 on the day. He is now 6-3 on the season, and the save would be given to Kenley Jansen, who allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out 2. With this save, Kenley Jansen now has 7 on the season. In their batting lineup, their elite right fielder, Mookie Betts, would go 1 for 1 with a walk as he finished with an RBI and a run. Their elite shortstop, Corey Seager, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run for himself as well. Their third baseman, Justin Turner, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their first baseman, Max Muncy, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 8th home run of the season. And with this win, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 21-17. That is the third best record in the National League West, as they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 2 games in the division. And then with this loss, the Miami Marlins are now 17-21. That is the 4th best record in the National League East, as they now trail the New York Mets by 4 games in the division. With this loss, the Miami Marlins are, like I said, they trail the Mets now by 4 games in the division. Just that is what the MLB is shaping up to look like as we enter yet another weekend of the season. But of course, checking out first what's going on with the primetime matchups, because this is Saturday. This is the middle of the weekend series. So of course, there's going to be a lot of night games, but starting off early at 1:10, the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be hosting the New York Mets on ESPN+. At 4:05, the Minnesota Twins are going to host the Oakland Athletics on FS1. And then at 8:40 following that, the San Diego Padres are going to host the St. Louis Cardinals on FS1. Going to the games themselves, the ESPN Plus game for the Rays and the Mets are going to host Shane McClanahan and Joey Lucchesi. The 4:05 game between the Twins and the Athletics is going to face the matchup between Jose Berrios and Cole Irvin. And then at 8:40, the pitching matchup will be Chris Paddock versus Adam Wainwright. Outside of those games, At 4:10, Martin Perez and the Boston Red Sox are going to host Dylan Bundy and the Los Angeles Angels. At the same time, Jose Urena and the Detroit Tigers are going to host Trevor Williams and the Chicago Cubs. At 6:35, Tyler Anderson and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Johnny Cueto and the San Francisco Giants. At 7:05, Jorge Lopez and the Baltimore Orioles are going to host Domingo Germán and the New York Yankees. At 7:10, Carlos Rodon and the Chicago White Sox are going to host Mike Minor and the Kansas City Royals. At the same time, Brett Anderson and the Milwaukee Brewers are going to host Ian Anderson in the Atlanta Braves. At the same time, Luis Garcia and the Houston Nationals are going to host Dane Dunning of the Texas Rangers. At 7:37, Anthony Kay and the Toronto Blue Jays are going to host Aaron Nola and the Philadelphia Phillies. At 8:10, Julius Chassin and the Colorado Rockies are going to host Tyler Mahle and the Cincinnati Reds. At the same time, Seth Frankoff and the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to face off against Joe Ross and the Washington Nationals as Seth Frankoff looks to pick up his first win of the season. At 9:10, Justice Sheffield and the Seattle Mariners are going to host Tristan McKenzie and the Cleveland Indians. And last but not least, the Los Angeles Dodgers, led by their elite starting pitcher Trevor Bauer, are going to host the Miami Marlins. So that is what the MLB is looking like entering today. And last but not least, right before I leave the continent, I must say that Michael Chandler is looking to fight Oviedo today. So, that's going to be a very big MMA fight today. So, that's going to be tonight. And then, of course, looking at what's going on in the world of soccer, starting with yesterday's matchups, Manchester City was able to beat Newcastle United 4-3, as of course they've already won the title. This game doesn't really matter much, but now with 2 more games left in their season, they now sit 13 points ahead of second place Man U in the table, just to get a sense of where they are. And then looking out to what's going on today as we span across each league, as each league is kind of coming to a close. But starting off, it is the English FA Cup final today at 12:15 on ESPN Plus between Chelsea and Leicester City. This is one of the domestic cups, so this will be this will be very interesting to see, especially now that Chelsea can very well win this and Champions League, as they are one of the 2 teams remaining in Champions League, along with Man City. There's going to be a bunch of MLS games, but skipping past that, jumping in the German Bundesliga, SC Freiburg is going to host Bayern Munich at 9:30, as Bayern Munich has already won the table. So that's going to be a very big game there. That's as the games don't necessarily matter, but of course a win is a win. And Italian Serie A, this league is actually pretty close. Starting off at 9 o'clock, Genoa is going to host Atalanta. Atalanta is currently holding the second best record in Serie A, tied with AC Milan. So a win here could very well see them hold on to the second best record in Italy. Also, Juventus hosts Inter at noon. Juventus currently holds the 5th best record in Serie A. A win here could temporarily get them back into Champions League contention for the day. And Inter they've already won Serie A, so they don't have much to play for, but they can always spoil Juventus' season. And as of right now, that's everything that's going on for soccer for today. Today is Saturday, May 15th, 2021 out here in this quarantine. And once all of today's matchups and exhibitions finish, I will come back tomorrow on Sunday, May 16th, 2021 for a new installment of The Elite. Once again, I am James Sims. I want to thank you for listening to all 47 minutes of this episode. I hope all is well, and I will catch you tomorrow with another installment of The Elite. Peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.